then you get inflation. So
Yeah. What's
the
simpler than that?
the
But
the
go ahead.
the
Yeah.
the issue is that I don't find it very helpful to divide the money supply into a stock of money, like an amount of dollars that exists, and then try to imagine money circulating around and around. So there's several problems with this.
No, it doesn't.
One
It
is
doesn't.
that
I agree. I agree. I thought you meant something else by Fisher's equation. I'll just say this right now and save your breath. So the point is this, right?
sure.
The point is this. It's even more simpler than this. I agree with you, first of all, wholeheartedly, because like 80% of that money that we're trying to account for is on computers. It's not even in circulation. It's static. It's completely static. Static in the
That
sense
doesn't
that it's
matter.
not in the market. It's not to be factored in the equation of everyday purchases of goods, whatever. So this is what I'm saying to you.
I see what you're saying. I
Yeah,
get what
yeah,
you're saying.
100%. So this is what I'm trying to get across to you, right? If you have 100 Ferraris, Ferrari only made 100 of them, and they go crazy, people buy them. They're flying off the shelves, whatever. Now there's only 100 Ferraris out there. The value of these Ferraris is infinitely more because of the drastic, almost, it's like teeny tiny percentage of people that own this Ferrari, right? So the value is enormous. It's a very rare car. It's very desired. This is the concept of supply and demand. And you compare this to money, it's the same exact thing. Then let's say Ferrari goes and prints 100 million more of those Ferraris. Well, all of a sudden, the value of your Ferrari that's been sitting in your car, that's been accumulating wealth or appreciating in value this entire time, is going to depreciate drastically because anybody can get their hands on this car, and you're increasing the supply, therefore the demand drops, or the value of it drops, I should say. That's the same thing with money, my friend. The more amount of it you print, the higher the inflation rate because the value of the dollar drops. It's so much
This
simpler
is
than Fisher's equation. So much simpler.
you're getting some things right and a lot of things wrong. So first
Tell
off,
me
the
more, man.
supply
Go
and
ahead.
demand. Yeah, first off, supply and demand. It's called the supply and demand scissors, and there's all kinds of there's like the diamond water paradox. The whole point of that story is to illustrate that you can never really say that the price moves one way or the other just because supply moves or demand moves. It's about the relationship between the two.
Yeah,
So
but
you have to make
it's not even
assumptions about
supply
what's
and demand though.
happening.
It's supply and value of the dollar. It's purchasing power per dollar, right?
Okay, well,
The purchasing
but
power per dollar goes down every time you print more money because it's
you were
more in
you were
circulation. There's
talking
more
about
of it in
Ferraris.
circulation. Printing
You
money,
were
yeah,
just talking about
yeah, but
Ferraris,
it's
right? And
analogous comparison,
I'm
right?
just
It's
saying
not
the
That's
literally
not a
supply.
about the
universal
Ferrari.
rule, by the way.
It's not literally about the Ferrari. It's just an analogous comparison. Go ahead.
I know, but I'm saying we can't universalize that, just like the other speaker is saying, because there are times when this is why it's the supply and demand. So there's times when supply goes up and prices go down. There's times supply goes down and prices go down. It depends on what's happening. You have to look at supply and demand. You can't just look at one
Sure,
or the
sure,
other.
sure. But it also
It's not
depends
true
on
that
what.
when demand. It's
Yeah,
not true that when demand goes up. And actually, you can apply this to money. It's not true universally that when demand goes up, prices go up. That's like an intuition people have if
yeah,
they're
but it's not
assuming.
even prices, right? It's not even prices. It's actually just the value per dollar. It's a value per dollar. It's a purchasing spending power per dollar. That's what I'm getting at.
I don't.
You're talking about literal prices of goods. That's not what I'm talking about
Yeah,
at
but that
all.
the
At
value
all.
of something does not move up or
Also,
just
so
the value does not
I
move up or
understand that
down.
this is more nuanced than what I'm describing, but it's actually analytically true if you take a look at the veracity of how
So
much,
fi-
or
fi-
the rate of money that's being printed, right? So let me just get this straight. You're saying that if you accept this to be true, you're saying that during the 4 years of COVID, when the Treasury printed, because not the Fed, but the Treasury, they printed 65% of all money in circulation. You're saying that doesn't decrease the value of the dollar? Is that what you're
so
saying?
finance. You
No, no,
said
whoa,
you were
whoa,
going to
whoa. Let
save
me
me
just get like
time.
yes or no. Hold on, hold on. I don't
You
want you to
said
like weasel out of this. Just give me like yes or no.
I'm saying not necessarily. It can, but not
Okay, yeah, yeah,
necessarily.
yeah. This is no longer a serious conversation. That's Jester.
No, I mean,
Th-
it's
There's
completely
there's
No,
there's
valid
no
though.
way.
This is
There's no way you believe that. There's no
You
way
can
you
have a
believe what you just said.
dramatic
no, no.
increase in the money supply, but that's entirely irrelevant
Yeah.
if demand is proportional to
You
the
don't think
increase.
creating new money
Finance.
stimulates inflation? You're
Finance.
crazy. You're
Wait,
crazy. You need
If
to
the
go back to
demand is
school.
proportional to the increase, it
You need to
doesn't
go back
matter.
to school. You need to go back to school. There's no way. Where'd
wait,
you get your degree out of? A
finance.
cereal box?
Fi-
That's pathetic. It's pathetic. Go ahead, yeah.
finance. You know that, yeah, you know that supply can increase while demand can decrease simultaneously, yes?
That's not the question. Yeah, but that's not the question I asked him at all. I asked him, does printing 65% of all money in circulation in 4 years stimulate inflation? He said, not necessarily. That's
Not
absurd.
necessarily. Yeah,
Well,
he's
That's
100% right.
yeah,
absurd. That's
he's
absurd.
He's
completely
100% right though. What are you talking about?
That's
he's completely
absurd.
right. If demand increases by 70% and it was printed at a 60% increase, no, inflation does not increase. You actually get a de-inflation.
No, that's not what I'm suggesting at all. You're misinterpreting the entire equation. No, exactly, Piddletus. They're trying to argue that 65% of all printed money in the circulation of 4 years, in the span of 4 years, doesn't cause inflation. But not even, but hold on, let me just finish, because you just got here. Let me just frame this correctly. So it's not even just that, they also believe that it doesn't reduce the buying power of the dollar. They're also arguing that it doesn't reduce the buying power of the dollar. That's insane. That's insane to say.
Why don't we start by
I can't hear what your
does cause
conclusion was
inflation?
there. Look, give me a second to fucking see what they're trying to say. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be on your side, but like, let's.
Good idea. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, let's talk about the cause of inflation. What I'm pushing back on is the idea that creating money at any amount is necessarily the cause of inflation. What I think is more accurate to say, it's a very similar point, but slightly different, is that when the rate of spending increases too much, right, for the level of production that you have, when production and spending are no longer moving in tandem,
It's
you're
not
going to get
production and spending. It's rate
you're
of
going to get
fucking
inflation.
like interest in spending.
No,
That's
no,
what's
no, no,
That's
no.
right. Yeah,
No,
that's
no,
actually correct.
I want to be very clear about this. I want to be very, very clear about this. This is important. So what I'm talking about, and this is called the income theory of money, by the way. Think of it as just a slightly revised version of quantity theory of money. I like quantity theory of money. I like that it's mathematical. I like that it's an ultimate rather than approximate cause of inflation. I like that it's not like a social theory, but they're looking at the wrong quantity. They're looking at the quantity of money that's sort of like exists or has been printed, right, or is created, and they're not looking at the flow of dollars actually spent by consumers. So that's why I use a simple version of the
There's a
equation.
reason why you're
Total
incentivized to
spending,
utilize redistributive or
total spending equals
redistribution when it
price
comes to
growth.
UBI.
Look, dude.
These
Allow
are pretty good.
him his idea.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, you're not as a lawyer. I mean, go ahead, yeah.
Oh, I want him to like try to convince me.
I mean, no, sure, but he's way overcomplicated. But go ahead, yeah. I don't want to be disrespectful. Go ahead.
We have one fewer variable than the original formulation of the equation. This is R equals PQ instead of MV equals PQ, where R is the total rate of spending. So it's
okay. Never mind. I take it back. No,
I know. That
is not even overcomplicated.
He's overcomplicating.
He's economic theory.
He's overcomplicating the question by injecting equations that have no relevance here.
That is
I'm just asking him. I'm asking him a very simple question. I just asked him a very simple question. I said, does printing? I said, does
basic stuff?
I said, does printing? No, that's my claim. I said, does printing money cause inflation or does it reduce the spending power? He said no. He said no. That's ridiculous.
He said not necessarily.
At the veracity in which.
Because your model suits it, fuck that.
And exactly. And by the way, I mean, I don't know if you do support this or not. I'll be charitable and assume that you don't. I asked you earlier, I said, are you for corporate welfare? Are you for Walmart, Amazon, casinos, movie theaters during COVID getting bailed out in totality here? And you said, well, that doesn't cause inflation. I assume that's what you're going to say, but go ahead, answer for yourself. I mean, do you support that despite these companies not needing it?
I'm not in favor of that. I'm in favor of supporting consumer income.
Right, yeah.
And I'm pointing, and I just like, let's just for the benefit of anyone who knew who's joined in, something I made very clear that finance agreed with me before is that if you create money for UBI, deficit spend, borrow, whatever, you're not necessarily increasing the supply of money, and you're not necessarily increasing the supply of spending because, I'm proposing that you replace monetary expansion, in other words, borrowing stimulus that would otherwise occur by the central bank. So, and he agreed with that. And all I wanted to do here, we already agreed with the major point, right? All I wanted to do here was clarify why I objected to when he said that creating, because you could say, why won't that cause inflation? Why if you switch borrowing stimulus for UBI, why you could say, oh, it's because you're not creating new money. And I'm saying technically it's not because you're not creating new money.
Well, so
because you're not creating new spending.
Well, why do you think? Go ahead, Piddletits. I'll go after. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I want to get Piddletits' take on that, and then I'll just go after. Go ahead.
No, I think that for a lot of people that have power in our community, they want to say, well, why don't we want to have inflation? Inflation should be okay.
So I'm not suggesting you shouldn't have inflation. I'm saying UBI is consistent.
You're thinking that asset holders think that inflation shouldn't be okay.
No, he's suggesting
are fine.
He's suggesting a marginal inflation rate he's suggesting a marginal inflation rate. A marginal inflation rate.
No.
You can't have there's no such thing as a 0% inflation rate. There's no such thing.
Wait a minute.
That's not what he's saying.
I was not suggesting a marginal inflation rate. I don't even know what the fuck that is.
A marginal inflation rate is that it's causing inflation rate, right? is that there is a
Finance,
significant
you can
difference
make
as opposed to it not occurring because he's borrowing.
Look,
He's suggesting that you borrow from the central bank because the central bank's going to do it either way.
don't
That's
confuse
what
me with somebody
Derek's
that
saying.
actually knows how the
that's
economy
not
works.
not
Okay, you
exactly
can
what I'm
No,
have
saying.
that's verbatim what you said. What do you mean?
you can
I
have a
said
I
negative
did say those
inflation rate. I
things.
don't know why
You're
you're
gonna
getting
have a
caught up on
negative
that.
inflation rate, yeah.
Yeah, Finance. I don't know why you're getting caught up on that.
No,
You can
that's not even
absolutely
what I'm
have a
disagreeing
negative
with, Master.
inflation rate.
Master Max, that's not
No,
even where we
but
disagree at
look,
all. What do you mean by getting caught
Well,
up? I'm
I'm mainly.
I don't see
I'm
how
trying to
this
clarify for him.
diminishes
Yeah.
this dude's fucking position at all.
It
I'm just saying
doesn't.
I just don't know.
No,
I
but
just wanted to clarify.
yeah,
For
go ahead.
finance, we'll save a lot
No,
of
go
time
ahead,
if you
Derek.
listen
Go
to
ahead.
if you listen to what my positions are. All I wanted to say was that this is. I'm not arguing for a certain inflation target. I'm saying that by calibrating the UBI, you can achieve any given inflation target. So 2% is okay, 1%.
Right.
That's up to you. I'm just saying that it doesn't. You don't have to exceed your inflation targets by doing this.
No, that's fine, but that's what the Fed's for. We're acting like the Fed doesn't exist. That's what they're going to do regardless. But I'm saying this. There's a marginal difference between when you stimulate corporate welfare, when you fund corporate welfare, meaning, by the way, transfers of wealth upwards, historically nothing like we've ever seen before, where the Treasury prints out this money, 65% exactly. 65% of all money in circulation was printed in the last 4 years during COVID. So I know, that's what I'm saying. So, but I'm against that because that money stays there anyways. It's not in circulation. They just keep it. They just keep it. But so Piddle Tits, hold on. Let me just get through this because it's really important. So after this, I'll let you talk right after. So comparatively, the opportunity cost would be giving it to UBI instead and actually seeing that money circulate because like we agreed, right, Derek? This is where we agree. This is a big point. People are not going to spend that money on fucking rims or car stereos. They're going to spend it on what? Rent, groceries. They're going to stimulate the economy, unlike rich people who just throw it into their bank account. 80% of their money is already like in a computer. It's static. It's not going anywhere. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I agree with you there, Derek.
Finance. You can't say you agree to something I haven't said. So I'm trying to be careful. It's not that I don't. I totally agree with the spirit of what you're saying.
Next week, less drunk
But
again.
But I just want to make sure that you understand my position because it sounds
Sure,
like
yeah.
you don't. So number one,
Well, go ahead. Tell me where I'm wrong. Yeah.
Number one, it's not that you're wrong. It's because I actually agree with what you're saying.
Oh,
But
okay.
It's not.
Then we don't
It's
disagree.
not responding. It's not responding to what I said. So it's misapplied. So you said number one, we're acting like the Fed doesn't exist. I'm not doing that.
No.
because
Yeah.
the Fed
That's
is
overstated
performing
comment.
tighter monetary
Yeah.
policy.
It's an overstated
Okay, so-
comment. What I was suggesting is that the
No,
Fed
I
are
understand.
the Fed's job. Well,
Okay.
specifically when we're talking about inflation rates, right? The Fed's they're going to adjust accordingly. I'm not concerned about whether or not the Fed's going to regulate or not.
Well,
Well,
hold
I
on a
mean,
second. That's
that depends. That depends, right? If we're getting accurate job reportings, then the Fed can adjust accordingly. This is what happened in quarter two, quarter three.
Gotten accurate.
But I mean, well, just to be clear,
How does this even address? What's the
just to
main
be clear,
point
there's net
anymore?
zero jobs for quarter two. I mean, that's
What's
the
the point
reality.
anymore? Like, what are we even discussing at this point?
Well, I mean, hold on. I still think this is a valuable conversation. I still think this is
everything and just like say we want to set
Guys,
rates.
I still think this is a
Why don't-
valuable
why not?
conversation. I don't know where you guys are up.
Give me, guys.
Why
give
are
me
we
a
talking about
second
the
to
Fed
get-
inflation? This has nothing to do with what we were talking about like 5 minutes ago.
Well, no, but
danger
Derek, keep
comes-
going, Derek, because you were saying
guys
something else.
is
But
we're
that
gonna set
statement was
inflation-
overstated.
We're
Yeah.
going to set rates at very low levels, no matter what evidence.
Hey, Derek, this is your room. You have the mute power. Okay?
Yeah, Derek, I would take care of
do have
Piddle
the
Tits.
mute
He's not really
power.
saying much.
I do have the mute power. I don't want to use it yet because I think no one's being rude. There's a lot of over talking. So let's just again, for finance. You tell me if we're
Go
on
ahead,
the
yeah.
same page here.
Yeah.
It sounds like you agree with me that UBI would be better than corporate welfare. But the problem is
Yes.
that I don't fully like that. It's not really the point I'm making
I
because
know.
I'm saying UBI is better than over expansion of monetary policy. Which
Yes.
is not the same thing as corporate welfare.
No, I know.
So I don't think we should have corporate welfare.
Right,
What I'm
but
trying
that's
to get you to do is
but that's you
address my
agreeing
main
with me,
point.
right? Yeah, but that's you agreeing with me. You're saying
Sure.
that there
And
shouldn't
I'm
be an
saying,
upward
do you
transfer of wealth
agree-
for people that don't need it and aren't going to use it. We agree
But
there. Yeah.
we agree there. Where I'm not sure that we agree yet is I'm saying instead of lowering interest rates to raise employment, right, to raise employment through borrowing, I'm saying raise UBI, and that's going to be a more direct.
Yeah, you want
way
to
of
substitute it for
supporting
monetary
earnings
policy. Yeah,
growth.
that's fine. Yeah, sure.
When you
Okay,
have
awesome.
like
Then
Yeah.
we agree,
the president
finance.
100%,
We're in
yeah.
total
control
agreement.
of
Okay.
the central bank, you can see what happens with many other countries where they lower interest rates, try and make their currency work well, and inflation skyrockets. So it's just very bad long term.
What
No,
is?
So I want to.
What is? Wait, what is?
Lowering rates? Just why would that be bad?
Lowering
long-term?
interest rates out of just because you think you want to boost jobs right now,
Well,
No, of
it
course,
works. It
of
works in the
course.
short term, right? And
No,
that's
no,
what
no.
no,
that's
of
what
course,
every
of
leader
course,
wants to do,
of course.
right?
Yeah, but
That's why the
but
central bank is there.
That's right, but interest rates can but the interest rates can never be at 0%, right? That's not the goal. The goal is to adjust
Well,
accordingly to relative to the job market, relative to the
that's
job
right.
reportings. But if
Yeah.
but if the Fed isn't getting accurate job reportings per se from the Trump administration or Biden administration, whichever administration want to charge, that's fine. Then there's no point in adjusting. They can
Well,
adjust
if
accordingly. They
they
can.
need to they need to determine that they're not getting proper instrumentation from the
Yeah,
Trump administration, and
yeah.
they need to say no. We're not
Here,
going to.
No,
here's
no,
a
We're not going
but
to
they
lower
weren't though,
rates.
right? Because what is it? The BLS they had like a 1.2 million job correction, right?
It doesn't really matter because
No, whoa! Don't say it doesn't matter when you just brought it up. Hold on, because the BLS report they reported the marginal error of 1.2 million jobs. How are you wrong about 1.2 million jobs?
what's the name of the last
H-1B
guy?
visas.
The last head of the Fed, because he's still sticking on, right?
Well, he's getting replaced next year, no? Or
Yeah, no,
Well,
he's
he's
getting
getting
replaced.
replaced in a week.
That
What are
guy.
you talking
He's
for
getting
the
about?
next
replaced.
year.
He's on his way
For the
out. Yeah.
next year,
What are you
he's not
talking
the
about?
head
He's
of
being
things, but
replaced.
he's probably going to be what
Jerome
people vote to do.
Yeah, Jerome
Jerome
Powell's in.
Powell gets
That's it.
Jerome Powell.
Jerome Powell, yeah, you
I
can't kick
wasn't
him out
done.
yet.
I wasn't done. You cut me off. Jerome Powell gets replaced next week, not next
Oh,
year.
next week. Yeah,
week.
No.
But
I was
it
still,
remains
I'm
on
still
the
thinking I'm
board,
stuck
and
in
the
two.
board is
I'm
12
thinking I'm
states
stuck in
that already vote
2025, but
people.
that's what they had said. That's what they had said
He
in
has a lot of
2025. Yeah.
pull in those votes.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it seems like we're all on the same
We're
page
all on the same page. Yeah.
that monetary policy needs to be adjusted appropriately. And it sounds like at least some of us are on the same page that UBI to a degree can actually produce better outcomes than just lowering interest
Well,
rates.
UBI,
So
yeah. Well,
I
UBI
don't
will
even
save you
know if
money.
I'm on that one.
It'll
What?
save you money. Well, so here's the thing.
Um,
Here's the thing, Piddletits. It'll stimulate the companies that are actually against it. It'll actually stimulate them because all they're going to do is consume, right? The consumers, all they're going to do is make purchases on groceries, everyday expenses.
So
They're not going to
the
keep it.
idea
I mean, we
is
saw this.
want
Go
people
ahead.
to have money so they can spend money to inflate
To
the
stimulate the
economy.
economy. That's right.
It
well,
seems like
so
they're
I push
already
back a little
currently
bit.
just stealing.
Go ahead. Yeah. Go.
I push
Right?
back just a little bit on the wording, finance. I think we're saying
Sure.
similar
Yeah.
things, but when you say stimulate the economy, I think of a couple things. I think of one, counter-cyclical policy. So I think when I hear stimulus, I think like, oh, there's a recession, you stimulate the economy to prevent
Right.
recession,
How's that
or
the
I think
connotation
about
attached?
increasing spending. And my proposal is that this UBI is a better way of supporting any given level of spending, and it's not something you would do just when you're at like the bottom end of the business cycle.
Sure. Yeah.
You would do it all
What's
the
the
time.
difference between
Sure, but when I say
social
stimulus, when I say
insurance or UBI?
stimulating, you're taking it as like a literal finance or econ term. That's not what I'm suggesting at all, right?
It's the fact that you have to
It's not a
narrow it down
literal
because you don't
econ
trust
or
them to
finance term.
I
What I'm
am
suggesting is
using the nerdy
what I'm
econ
suggesting
term,
it's I know. It's a very scientific analytical guy. That's fine. But what I'm suggesting, just to clear things up, is that what I mean by stimulate is it's directly contribute to active spending, moving, circulating money in the market, right? Purchasing, more purchasing.
I'm
Yes,
glad we agree.
yeah.
Piddle, you raised a question. Go ahead.
No. Before you say that, like, I don't understand what you mean by you need to have this circulation of money in the market. Like, you don't think it would happen without UBI? I don't get it.
It would, but it would happen in an inferior way. So today, I'm arguing that today, because we don't have like a simple policy like UBI to support incomes, we end up pushing interest rates too low, and we stimulate too much borrowing. We do stimulate too much borrowing
That's
in
correct.
order to
Dude,
prevent deflation.
I think you're overthinking it.
No,
I
dude,
think-
he's not. No, he's not, dude.
No, he's not.
No.
He's
The
just
problem. No, but
yeah.
Piddletits.
I think
Piddletits. The problem
if
is that
you
nobody
really
has
wanna-
disposable
if you
income.
wanna
That's what the
figure it
UBI is
out,
for. That's what UBI is
because-
for.
If you take a look at the middle class, their income has lowered, and the upper class their income has skyrocketed.
Yeah, the middle class income is lowered
That is
because
the
we
big
pulled in.
difference.
I wasn't done because we pulled in like 10 million H-1B visas in the last 5 years. There's a
So,
reason why it's weighted.
Yeah, no, dude.
That's correct. As
I
well, you have an
agree.
oversupply of
There are
labor.
reasons
You have
for
an
that.
oversupply of
Yeah.
labor. You have an undercutting of
wanna
jobs.
I don't
Yeah,
personally
exactly.
find okay. There's two places we could bring this discussion. I mean, the lower, middle, upper thing. In my models, I'm just thinking about the average consumer, and I'm not that concerned about these like three classes. It's more of an income
I don't
spectrum.
think
There's
that we can go
low
back to
income, high
days of
income.
1950s or
Well, Piddletits, you're kind of
Well,
rudely
provide
interrupting here. You got to let him
everybody
finish.
with
though.
family, right?
To
We're
to
not
be
going
fair,
back there.
To be fair, if we're talking about the average consumer, then we're talking about stay-at-home mothers. That's like the average consumer is
Yeah, but
mainly
No,
stay-at-home
we're
mothers.
talking about the
stay-at-home
average
mothers aren't real workers. They don't
producers.
stimulate GDP. We don't have
We're
to
talking
account
about
for
the
them.
average
Yeah.
producers.
What are you talking
Thanks,
about?
Finance.
And we're
Finance
Wait,
Stay-at-home
wait, are
mothers
you
are
arguing
not
that
workers.
stay-at-home moms produce GDP? What are you talking
No.
about?
Yeah, no,
No,
we can't go back there. I agree.
Yeah. What are you talking about? Stay-at-home moms absolutely produce GDP. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not real GDP. It's not to be accounted for analytically through economic models. What are you on about?
Stay-at-home moms produce?
They don't.
Just
They
one.
don't. It's work. It's not gross domestic product. It's not GDP. It's not actual GDP.
That's right. It's zero.
They're not producing anything. They're not producing anything.
So
It's
in
going to
lieu-
depend.
in-
Yeah, it's going to depend on where you're counting.
Unless they
GDP.
go
That's Mastermax unless they're
They're
babysitter.
absolutely-
But Mastermax, if they're babysitters, then that's a different thing. If they're running a business out of their house, that's different, right?
No, if they're buying products, that's stimulating GDP.
No, yeah, but that's the idea. They're going to buy products to go ahead and stimulate their business. I don't know what you're.
I'm going to be honest. When
Go
I
ahead,
say
yeah.
the average consumer, I literally just mean the average. Like if you, let's say we,
It's a little vague,
median real income, by individuals, and I kind of don't care. Maybe they're single moms. Maybe they're more of them are single dads. Maybe they're
60K a person.
kids.
That's
It doesn't really, yeah, it doesn't matter to me. That's sort of not what I'm not really interested in the demographics of the consumers. They could be Martians for all I care. The point is that they are the people who are spending money for their own benefit, perceived benefit, rather than like an instrumental purchase where you buy resources and you're going to sell it for profit.
Right, but if I'm not mistaken, you're arguing that the issue is that they're spending that money consuming on loans, on borrowed money, as opposed to disposable income, right?
Good. That's a good question.
Well, hold on, Piltus. I just want to get a confirmation here. Go ahead,
That is a good question. The answer is no, because when I say there's too much borrowing, I don't mean there's too much consumer credit. What I mean,
are you considering Klarna when you take a look at borrowing?
Well, that is borrowing.
That's
so
not what I'm talking.
No, you're not. That's
not,
right. You're not.
That's not what I'm looking at. I'm talking about too much business borrowing that's being accommodated by the Fed. So the Fed wants currently in our system.
Klarna
and
is a different
not a
side of borrowing, right? So it's a different layer.
Wait, hold up.
We already agree with that,
Derek.
Yeah.
Derek, have you tried to apply for a business loan in the last few years?
I am not saying it's easy. What I'm just saying is
it's
that
become more difficult. It is harder now than it was 5 years ago.
Well, of course. That's because interest rates are high. I don't know what you expect.
Debt, why is it hard?
Guys, when I'm thinking about borrowing being too cheap, I'm not
it's
thinking
not.
about.
You have to account for the higher interest rates. Not even if you qualify for it, you're not just going to take it just because.
I just want to clarify.
It's much harder to qualify as well.
Yeah, of course. Well, but the higher the interest rate, the more the more you need up front to qualify for it, right? So that's the idea. But I mean, there's always like the SBA, but I mean, I don't think most people even know about that or care about it. Go ahead, Derek. Were you gonna say something?
My concerns are very different because I'm not talking about my goal is not to make credit easy for startups or something. I'm thinking about, like, let's say you're a big business and you want to expand, like how cheap is it or how expensive it is for you to, borrow more, roll over your debt.
That's not how business works these days. Business these days work is like they're going to, you have a good idea, great, amazing small business. Now we're going to acquire you.
Right. Yeah. That is. He's not necessarily wrong about that. If I could just add real quick, I mean, it seems like every company in America is basically priming itself to be the acquisition of another. That's all it is. They take preparatory phases in becoming or producing a good product that eventually becomes shit because they get acquired by another capitalist or private equity.
Which, by the
that's
way,
the idea.
That's fine, but it's irrelevant.
We're supposed to have a system that defends.
I don't think it's irrelevant. To be clear, to be fair.
Well, I mean. Everything is okay until it breaks, until it shatters.
Well, it does. I'm just saying it. Let's say I'm looking at 10 businesses that are borrowing versus 2 big businesses that have gobbled up the other businesses, and now they're borrowing to fund their expansions. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but usually they account for the acquisition by taking in. So they usually account for the income relative to the debt they hold, right? So if they believe that there's a healthy income stream and they can pay off the debt, that's fine. That's what the acquisition is.
Most businesses are not. Yeah, most businesses are not in the red. No, I mean not most businesses that are established. I should be clear.
Right. Yeah.
None of this matters.
They do allow debt sale.
Oh, I mean, Derek.
Most businesses do not operate on debt. Most small businesses, especially. The idea that they need to lend is not true for expansion.
Okay, so you're saying if the Fed cranked up interest rates tomorrow and there's no UBI or anything to replace it, they just keep lifting rates, they raise the cost of borrowing, that's not going to affect business formation?
If they raise the rates tomorrow, we would enter an appropriate recession that would easily be over in 5 to 10 years. And it would really be
Well,
the result of, and it would really be the result of the last. Well, there's a reason for this. It would largely be the result of failing political actions from the
Why do
2008
you say
crash that
that?
were never fully because it
Why
was
do you
never
why
fully.
do you think
I
why do you think the rates would be so drastic?
As finance has outlined, 65% of all money printed in the last 5 years has been in the last 5 years.
Yeah, we're
Sorry.
not talking about money printed. We're talking about assets that are out there.
No, but we're talking about an already occurring
Yeah, I don't
people's
think that they're
recession, right? There's a
actually.
lack of disposable income
Yeah,
to withstand this.
this is actually what we got into the
Piddle.
major argument before. Maybe we should. So look, which thread are we going to tease out here? Because we're bringing up business.
Well,
Whether it's a problem for businesses to be borrowing. We're talking about is it a problem
it's
for there to be too much money? The
it's
money
very
printing
easy.
seems to be a hang up for you guys. You see, and I want to try to give you an insight for why the economists that I
I
listen
think they
to
belong in the
maybe
same
might think
area.
about this differently. If you're emphasizing, okay, there was we printed some crazy amount of money, last year. A lot depends on what you count as money, right? So when you say we printed money, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean the government borrowed a lot of money and
No,
then
no,
the
no, no,
Fed
no.
monetized
We mean
that?
that
I
or
think
I
we're
mean at
past
least
that.
that the
I think
Treasury, I mean at least that
when
the
we're at the
Treasury is
level of
creating new money.
yeah,
They're injecting new money into the market by bailing
one
out
level
these
of
corporations.
talking
That's what it is, right?
how to
So it's
make
the
money.
biggest upward transfer of wealth in all of human history. I don't know how you haven't heard of this,
Okay,
Derek.
and Piddle, what are you talking? Now I'm clear what he means. He means Treasury. The Treasury's issuing base money. Now, when you say money, what do you mean?
The same thing.
Okay, so when I say money, by default, unless I specify, I'm imagining the whole spectrum of money from base to broad, and
Look,
the vast,
it's not my fault that
vast
you're
majority,
autistic.
the vast majority of that money is created in the private financial sector as IOUs for other forms of
Wait.
money.
Are
Right?
you able to understand that this is how money is made?
I'm drawing attention because you're saying more money than we ever made was printed last year by the Treasury,
I'm just
but
not getting how you
that's
don't see these connections.
but I'm pointing out that that is not a significant amount of
Well,
money
when
compared
you
to the money
issue a
we
loan, you
normally
kind of
create on a
create money in
private
the
finance.
sense that you presume
It's
the
not about
interest
the
will be
money.
paid
It's not
back,
about
right?
the amount of money.
Of
It's about
course.
the connection that's made. It's the deal that moves.
Yeah, but
IOUs are better for the economy than IOUs tend to
100%.
be better for the economy.
Well,
So
They
what
tend
I'm
to be
100%,
saying
better
is,
for the
100%.
economy than
what I'm
paying
saying is,
upfront.
Without a
I don't know
doubt,
what
because
that
you have a
means
reasonable.
because they're all IOUs.
Well, no, Derek. I think what I believe what Master Max is saying is that there's more reason to believe that the credit characteristic of a person who is lending or borrowing money has infinitely a better impact and better distribution of paybacks or creation of money and interest infinitely comparatively to the Treasury printing new money, injecting money into the market or the circulation, right?
I think it
That's
depends
more
on how they
inflationary.
print
That's
it.
more inflationary.
So first off, okay, this is just I'd love to give you more of an intuition about the
Well,
model
you
I'm
know
using
what?
so we
What I
could
would really
communicate better.
like to get, I want to get your intuition of this. What do you think?
I'm saying that it depends on how the treasury prints the money. I think under some circumstances, more base money is better. Under some circumstances, more broad money is better. But it's not about the type of money.
By
It's
the
about
way,
the type of
how
spending.
much education do you have around this area?
I don't see how that's relevant to the points that I'm
I
making.
just want to know. You're the admin. I want to know if the admin is
I'm
educated.
not. I'll make it clear. I'm not an economist. I don't have a degree in economics. I'm
Okay,
just
so you're a
interested. I'm
resident.
just interested in
Got it.
subjects. Yeah.
How
So
about you,
continue.
finance?
Yeah,
Here's
real quick. I
the
have a background in financial analysis and accounting. I'm a senior in college.
that's great. That's great.
That's
And we can have
bachelor's
a
Yeah.
or MBA.
No.
Nice.
MBA.
I'm
MBA.
in my MBA career.
Yeah,
that's great.
MBA. I just
I'm
wrapped
in
up
my
this. Yeah.
senior.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm in my
Finance
senior year
should
for my MBA
That's
as well.
enough to like destroy you at the very least. If like, why are you an admin of a thing that you don't have an expertise in?
anyone
Well, to be
who
clear,
comes
he's
into
talking about
Discord,
UBI,
anyone
right?
can create
It's
a room.
fine. I don't care. I'm not here to
Yeah, no, that's
fucking
fine.
degree check anybody. I don't
Finance.
give a shit.
So look,
It also
we
seems to
do
be.
study finance. If you want to talk more about the financial sector stuff, you can talk to one of my colleagues.
No, yeah, but
But
I don't disagree with you. I don't know why I would.
I
I
have a
mean,
basic intuition about this stuff that I'd like to share with you, and maybe you'll tell me if
sure, yeah, go ahead.
this jives with what your understanding of it is. So when you guys talk about printing money, the reason why I don't find that to be like a really meaningful thing to be concerned about is that if you understand that money is a form of credit. It's a particular form of IOU, right? And there's all kinds of IOUs that are being created in the economy. A lot of them are monetized, and the government only creates a portion of it. They create a significant portion, but the market actually produces most of the stuff that you and I and your neighbors consider money, like our bank accounts. So when people say,
Depends
okay,
on the market, but okay.
when people say they have a problem with the government printing money, I wonder why they don't have a problem with banks printing money, which they do every time they make a loan,
No,
right?
it's
Well, first of all, a lot of these
thing.
banks shouldn't even exist to begin with because of 2008. They should have been let
They
to
have
die,
the
right?
object-
It should have been
they
let
have
die
the
because
object-
that's a
they-
true free.
Answer my
The
question.
true free market is not injecting money into dying businesses. That's the opposite of free market. That's not what I'm for.
You're agreeing with me that
Yeah,
that
100%, of
there's,
course.
they should
Yeah.
be just as concerned with private
Yes.
sector money creation as public. Great. That's my whole
What they're
whole point.
upset with
That's
is
all I
the
want to say.
devaluation of what they have.
Well, it's really about scale as well. It's about scale as well. If they were printing money to bail
People are
out,
upset about
if they were
inflation.
printing out money to bail out pharmaceutical industry or whatever the fuck, I don't care about that. That's in the consumer's interest. But if you're bailing out casino, no. But Pete, hold on, relax. Piddle tits, hold on, relax. But if you're bailing out Walmart, Amazon, casinos, movie theaters, I don't get how this is an interest to either the public or I do with the government because they're corrupt. But the problem as well is that it just creates an unfair market where you have dying businesses that aren't receiving the same funding from the subsidization from the government, and the interest isn't even there. It's not even there. It's just blatant corruption.
Wait till we show like your particular.
It ruins the concept of free market. Not that it ever existed.
I'm more talking about globally. What these things are globally.
Well, finance. Let me make an argument for, because we both have a similar intuition about this. But let me make
Sure, yeah.
let me make an argument for all that subsidizing, right? So today we don't have a UBI, right? So the way people get incomes is through jobs. Now, if you let the big banks collapse, right? If you let the financial sector shrink, now employment's going to fall. People are going to lose wages, right? So, I mean, I would argue that when it comes to all of this stimulus that's keeping Wall Street up, I don't think that's like a nefarious plan to enrich the bankers. I think they do get enriched in the process.
Sure, but just to be clear, banks collapse all the time. They're just not the big ones that you see every day, right?
Hold up. To be fair, the hedge fund bailouts are largely not to protect hedge funds themselves. It's to protect the money and the people that they manage. There's a reason why we bail out hedge funds. It's probably one of the most appropriate bailouts, really.
Yeah, but in 2008 they just kept all the money, right? They didn't actually do anything.
You can't.
Well, yeah, no, that's a problem for sure. Finance.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. So the problem is that nobody goes to jail. Nobody's held accountable.
Hold on. So you can save me an earned run.
So the problem with that is nobody goes to jail, nobody's held accountable, and then the bailouts didn't do anything for anyone that lost their money. So that's.
Well, I'm sorry,
but that's a different thing. Yeah, that's a different thing. I agree.
Yeah, it depends. It definitely depends on how egregious they are as well. Because to be fair, there was many hedge funds that did go to jail after 2008.
Kind of, yeah.
Not all of them, and a lot. Yeah, there was not a large amount. There should have been way more, but
it's like a couple guys. Yeah. But I'll be right back. I gotta
take. Using like 10 times leverage is in jail. Yeah.
Right, but I gotta take a piss. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you're good. I'm just getting home, so I gotta step out in a minute. Yeah, Derek. I think that we're a little bit confusing from what I'm understanding from you.
Why can't we hear these people? It seems like we've silenced the peons.
These two?
Yeah, what happened? It seems like we've silenced
them. I've had this dude muted already, so I'm assuming that there's a reason for that. There usually is.
No, I think it's because that's by design.
I am. If anyone's muted and they want to be unmuted, post a productive question in the chat, and maybe.
But it's not about mute. It's about hearing what a certain level of society is.
That's fine. That's fine, Piddle.
Yeah, we're not.
If people have questions, if people are accidentally muted for the wrong reasons, they'd message me and I unmute them. It's fine. So go ahead. Who was going to ask the question? Was it you, Master?
Yeah, what I was going to say is I think that there's a little bit of a combining from what I understand, or what I'm hearing from you, of the market, as in the stock market, how hedge funds and really the system largely operates behind the scenes, and any business's day-to-day runnings, and they're vastly different. The stock market's
Well,
largely a
let me ask
pretty
you this
self.
before you continue. Before you continue.
Piddle, don't interrupt. Please let him finish.
No, I think this is important.
No, well, this is the rules. Just
What
please,
are
we've
you
had too much
investing in
we've
right
had
now?
too much interrupting. Go ahead,
The
Master.
stock market is substantially more stable than an individual business. Largely, there's so many checks and balances within the
Because
market
I'm going to be able
itself
to
from
see
the
when you
stock
sell things.
market.
I'm going to be able to trace it back. I just want to make sure that you're
From from the stock
Piddle,
market? What
please.
are you talking about?
not
Just let
you.
Master
I
finish your
want to make
point.
sure that
Otherwise,
what you're saying is actually correct, right? Are
Yeah,
you
I know what
true?
level 2 data is. I know
Then
like
you should have no reason to worry about what I'm saying.
hey, Piddle, I'm gonna unmute you in a second, but just Master, please go ahead and finish the point you're trying to make.
I was just saying that the stock market and the actual ability for a business to make money are vastly different concepts. And the stock market tends to be much more self regulating and does protect the average consumer to a much larger extent.
Are
In
you a
most
Nancy
cases,
Pelosi?
in
It's
most
clear,
cases,
Master.
So, look, Master, I'm not really
what
trying
the
to follow
fuck did I
you.
just run over?
I,
I just ran over
Master,
something.
Master, I completely, yeah. Watch if you're driving. Please pay attention to the road and not
It was
theoretical
a
debates
box.
about
And
Master
No,
you
no,
know
Pelosi.
what
I'm,
the
I'm
beauty of
pulling
this
into
is?
I'm
It's
pulling
all
into my
recorded.
driveway, and
Yeah, I
it
can
was a
just jump
box.
to another channel
Okay,
and
Derek
we'll
and
live with the end
Master.
there.
So, guys, Master, I don't really understand. I understand that you're trying to say the stock market and the average business are different. I agree they're different, but I didn't follow how you think they're different. And I thought it was weird when you said that the stock market is like better at supporting consumers. Did you just mean that, if people are investing their money in the stock market, that's more reliable than expecting to keep your job? Like, what did you mean by that?
No, I'm saying from an actual consumer basis. So I guess to be fair, there is a differentiation between like consuming a good and investing within a company. Um, but the actual annual returns within the stock market is going to be substantially safer than trying to buy a new product. They're definitely different concepts, but they are, what
This
I'm
doesn't make
saying is that there's a
I'm
any
large
sorry.
sense to me.
differentiation, is my
Can you
point.
restate that?
Which
What if
portion?
if I understood him right, I'll give a shot at this, right? If I understood him right, you said that investing in the stock market is more reliable return than buying a good. But when that's a little bit
New
of a weird,
product. And
confused
buying a new
language.
product?
Yeah,
The fuck
that's a
does that mean?
confused language because people don't buy products in order to make money or make a
Invest.
return. They buy
Yeah.
products to consume them,
It
right?
Yeah,
seems like
absolutely. Yeah, that's
All
what
right.
I'm saying when I'm drawing
you
this
must have
differentiation.
misspoken.
No, but that's not what you said.
I might have misspoken. To be fair, I've had a headache today, or I had
He's
a
also
migraine
been
actually.
driving,
So
dude. Like he's been driving. I don't
yeah,
know.
I have
Yeah,
been
okay.
driving. To be fair, I could say stupid shit that I don't mean. In all fairness, no, I think that there's just a big difference, and it seems like you were kind of switching back and forth between the stock market and a business's ability to operate within
I've
themselves.
got I mean respectfully,
All right.
you know,
Are you willing
I
to go with an interview right now, or are we just kind of like accept that one is truth?
Is
Piddle.
Piddle drunk?
I think
Yeah,
we're
he
all.
is, but
Actually,
it's
everyone
fine.
here
I mean,
sounds a little
I
bit.
kind of enjoy
Okay.
his occasional random
Oh,
commentary.
Look, do
What
we
does
have
that
any
matter?
do we have any like are there any points of contention, questions you guys had about the framework or anything I said? But I have maybe like another 10 minutes and then I'm going to head out. So
Not
I'm
at
just
all.
curious,
Not
like
at all.
before I
Really.
go.
I mean,
I got a
I
question.
think
I got a
UBI,
question.
if not necessary right now, it absolutely will be anytime soon. And if you assume it, it's kind of inevitable.
Right.
I
Okay.
listened to what you
If there's
said
something
previously.
inevitable, fine.
Huh?
Go ahead, Toasty.
I was just gonna say I listened to what you said like a while back. I missed like the whole convo coming up to now. I just hopped in, but I was curious like around your. I remember you talking about UBI, and you were saying, does it for your system? Does it create more supply, or how would you go about doing your UBI?
Good question. It doesn't create. I'm not betting that it creates more supply. It might, but what I'm
What
really
is
betting on,
wrong with having a UBI?
what I'm betting on is that it's a more efficient way to give people money than over expanding the credit market and the labor market. So
Yeah, I
today
hear you.
we get
I
people
see.
money either way, but the way we do it now kind of wastes resources. Whereas if you're just going to give them the money, then those resources can be used more
You can't
efficiently,
just give it
right?
to the government and have the government do
So
it.
so
It needs to go to
that's
you.
how and
That's
that's
fair.
how
All
it
right.
yeah. That explains it.
Well,
So you can see how that could lead to more production because you have more efficiency, or it could lead to
I do
the
see
same
how it
level
could
of
lead to
production.
corruption.
but
I do.
how would how would you
I'm just
get
getting home. It
money
was great
for the
talking to y'all.
UBI? That's what I'm curious. Like, how do you go about getting that?
You just printed, dude.
So
So
you
this
would
is
increase the supply.
well,
Yeah,
no,
what
no,
does it
no. Hold
matter?
on, hold on. So I want to be careful here.
Well, all
I
right.
do tend to recommend deficit spending as the mechanism,
Again,
but that doesn't mean there's more money printed overall. So because currently we're printing money through the banking sector by lowering interest rates. That's where most of our money is coming from. So if you, instead of
I don't give a
lowering
fuck
interest
if you're
rates,
trying to lower interest rates. What
instead
does
of
that
that,
matter?
if you add a UBI, you get back to the same money supply, but more in a more consumer oriented fashion. So does that make sense?
No. Explain.
Um,
Explain again.
n- no, hold on. I'm just
I'm
asking. I'm
asking
asking
Ella.
Explain the
Derek here.
no.
I'm asking Toasty.
So are you saying like? So you're saying you? I get what you're
By the
saying. Like
way,
they're not.
you're the
You would
representative of the
necessarily
average.
print money though.
Piddle, I'll unmute you in a minute. I just want to answer Toasty without interruption. Can you say again, Toasty? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah. I'm just curious. So you're saying you would do it like the same as the way we currently do it now for you know, printing money? Like I know I'm just saying printing money and you're saying deficit spending.
Be
I'm just
careful,
curious,
man.
like, is it like taxes or is it like would it be through the already currently circulating supply or would it be through printing? Because like I guess the issue is like we normally tend to print money so we can use the money to back goods that are being created, right? Like the money now represents the goods that were created with that money.
Yes. Yes,
But with
that's a
this, you're
decent
not
way to
necessarily
think about
creating any goods, so you're printing more money than you have goods. Now I can understand you're
That would
saying
be
that you would give more money to the people to provide more demand for more goods, so more goods will be created.
it.
But the
No,
thing is,
I'm
no,
not
you're not
saying that.
saying that?
I'm
Okay.
you
not
don't
saying
have
that.
well, you don't have the
I'm
money to
saying
you don't have the money to do that.
I'm saying that we're printing money in a different way.
Okay, so
So
how would you print that money?
So
That's
through
different from what
the
we
month
do.
of April, judged with
currently we
12
print
whole months,
money
so
by lowering interest rates, and that actually
Yep.
gets the private financial sector to generate money, to print money, as you said.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
We
I
receive
understand that.
that as wages, right? And so instead of doing that, the government will print money. Now, that it's true that the government's printing more money than it was before, but it's actually the same amount of money overall in this model, right? I'm assuming it's the same amount overall because we're just switching one source of the money supply for another. So that's why
So
it's not technically it's not accurate to say. Now, I want to be super honest and clear
wouldn't it
about
be on
this
top of what we're already doing though? Wouldn't it have to be on top? Why would it be taking away from the other source?
I still don't get
because
that either.
the central bank is pursuing tighter monetary policy instead of lowering interest rates to
So
create
they would
money. The
increase their
government,
interest rates?
that's right,
Why? What my question though is why would they increase their interest rates?
You're still not
to
generating
to
new
to
income. Go
preserve
ahead.
to preserve
And
financial
also,
stability
why would you have the ability to tell them to do that?
Piddle, I'm sorry, Piddle, but I'm just gonna leave you muted. Um, they're going to do it. They're going to do that because they have to achieve price stability. They have to.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, they have to
Now,
achieve price stability, but the issue is you're also going to be stalling, you know, economic efficiency by doing that.
No, you're going to be
that depends.
stimulating it. You're going to be stimulating it.
Well, he's right.
No, no,
He's right that you're
if you
stalling
if you
investment.
increase the interest rates, you're going to be
Oh,
stalling it
sure,
compared
sure,
to what
sure.
you were
Yeah, yeah.
before.
It
That's what I mean.
disincentivizes borrowing. That's fine. But the producers are going to see a larger increase in consumption because there's more disposable
That's
income,
true.
right?
No, that is true.
Yeah, yeah. That's the idea behind UBI. It's basically to
That's right.
stimulate the economy
I'm
with
not
what people
against
are supposed
UBI
to
at
have,
all,
right?
by
It's a
the way.
complementary policy. Yeah.
No, no,
I was
I
just
understood
curious
that.
around the balancing of the sheets. Like that's what I was
Yeah.
just curious of.
No, I understood that, and you're
'Cause,
right
like
that if
I
interest rates are too high, that could be a problem.
yeah,
That's why. So imagine let's test the limits of the model. Imagine that UBI keeps rising, and the Fed keeps raising interest rates, but then as they raise rates, they find that you start seeing inflation.
I
That would
understand.
mean,
Yeah.
right, you couldn't do it any further.
Businesses also see that the actual consumerism goes up, which means that they're expecting larger percentage gains beyond what the increased interest rates are. So
Right,
in
exactly.
comparison, they weren't willing. Yeah, I can get what you mean.
Even in the
Because I've always
absence
been
of
more of like
hypothetical
looking at it.
non-borrowing, yeah.
Yeah, I've always looked at it as though you needed to take it through like a tax percentage, like an enforced tax, because that way you're not increasing the supply of money, because you're not essentially creating more goods. But I can't understand you're backing it with demand of the goods. Yeah, it would check
Well,
out.
and if there's little to no disposable income at the behalf of the average consumer, then I mean, there's not going to be much consuming being done, right? Which
Yeah,
disincentivizes the production,
which
which
we're going towards
disincentivizes
right
the
now.
borrowing, etc. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Because
no,
if you
that
take
does
a
make
look at
sense.
if you take a look at consumers, they're purchasing on loans, on credit cards. The average American
Yeah,
has about
I could
$14,000
finance my
worth of,
pizza.
exactly. But that's the idea. So, it's not a good thing that they're purchasing all this on loan, because the expectation is that somebody get that money back, right? And that's not occurring.
Yeah.
That's not occurring. People are filing for bankruptcy. People are filing for bankruptcy. Businesses are failing nationwide. It's not working. This model is not sustaining itself.
Yeah. I mean, how, and I think we actually kind of touched on this last time I heard you talking about it, Derek, but would you say like, how would you, I know you mentioned like similar to interest rates, they would adjust the universal basic income depending
You,
upon
you
how the economy is going, but how would, like, would it not be like a constant percentage? Like, for example, you match the amount of money that's being printed for monetary policy also over in the universal basic income, would it not match?
Okay, so what you wouldn't do is target the money supply. They used to do that. Or at least Milton Friedman recommended that, to do with that with monetary policy. And I think that's not necessary. The targets in this case are twofold. There's price stability and financial sector stability. So you're looking at the price level. You're seeing how fast are prices rising. Are they on target? Are they off target? That's where you need to change either policy, monetary policy, or UBI. The second thing you want to look at is financial sector stability. So does it look like another 2008 is in the works? Like, is there are people is the sector over leveraged? There's different ways of thinking about that, but basically, at the optimal combination of these two things, you at your price, you're at your inflation targets, and you've at that point you've given consumers the most purchasing power possible. It's certainly not something like you know I think every like just like today, every 2 months or something, the Fed meets and they decide about rates, but it's not like they schedule in advance, like, oh, we're going to raise it every 2 months. Like they watch the economy and they see what happens. So I'd imagine it would be the same with UBI. The major difference is that interest rates are probably going to still go up and down, fluctuating with the needs of the credit market. But I see the basic income differently because it supports consumer incomes. It's going to go up more like a staircase. So sometimes it's going to be flat, and then you'll raise it when you feel there's room, and it keeps going like that.
I mean, I guess my thought was just that wouldn't you necessarily like see a increase in, needed room for purchasing as you're printing more money for businesses? Like that's why I was wondering if that's like a pretty at least partially correlative like indicator. Like,
Well, if you're on your targets, then you've got the money supply right, right. If the money supply is what you care about, then you only care about it to the extent that it's matching production, and if it is,
That's
then
right.
there
Yeah.
isn't inflation, or at
It
least,
kind of it's expected to adjust
or if there
accordingly.
is, it's right, right.
yeah.
But I would emphasize that I try to avoid using the term money supply because people tend to imagine they start focusing on how much money is being created, and I think what matters a lot more is how much money is actually being spent,
Or how
and
much money's in circulation, right? Because there's
well,
there's
I
no
don't.
there's no incentive really for the majority of corporations that are exempt from federal tax to circulate the money. They're better off just hoarding it.
I don't use the term circulation because in this case,
No, but no, no, but don't take it so
in the
seriously.
case of
You're kind of doing this
UBI,
thing where you take it like by circulating. I just mean spending. They're not spending it back
that's
on the business. They're not
Yeah,
right.
but
incentivized. 80% of it is on computers. It's on computers. It's in stocks. It's not moving.
That's
Especially
right.
if it's
That's
tax
right.
exempt in the stocks, right?
You're
yeah, but
100%
velocity
right.
of money
Yeah.
isn't necessarily mean value is going, like, you know what I mean? Velocity of money can increase for positive and negative means.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Okay, picture this. Picture this. What I care about, for these policies, right, is picture businesses as a group. They're producing a flow of goods. So resources are going into businesses, goods are coming out at a certain rate, a certain amount of goods. And of course, it's a market economy. So anytime goods are moving to consumers, money's going in the other direction. And what's important if you want to keep your currency stable is the flow of consumer spending.